From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, May the 25th, 2021. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Israel last night and today met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Prime Minister told a joint press conference afterwards that the two had a long discussion on a number of topics, including the recent attacks from terror group Hamas in Gaza. And Netanyahu thanked Blinken and the U.S. administration for its support, including for replenishing Iron Dome missile interceptors.
The first point is a vote of thanks to President Biden and you for firmly supporting Israel's right of self-defense.
Netanyahu also said the two discussed the Iran threat and prospects for peace with the Palestinians.
As for peace itself with the Palestinians, a formal peace, I think President Biden was absolutely correct when he said you're not going to get peace until Israel is recognized as an independent Jewish state. And that is the key. I couldn't agree more with President Biden.
Blinken spoke of the reasons for his visit to the region.
President Biden asked me to come here today really for four reasons. First, to demonstrate the commitment of the United States to Israel's security, to start to work toward greater stability and reduce tensions in the West Bank and Jerusalem, to support urgent humanitarian and reconstruction assistance for Gaza, to benefit the Palestinian people, and to continue to rebuild our relationship with the Palestinian people and the Palestinian Authority. Intense behind-the-scenes diplomacy led by President Biden, working very closely with the Prime Minister, helped produce last week's ceasefire. Now we believe we must build on it.
He also clearly stated again the president's support for Israel's right to defend itself.
I underscored to the Prime Minister something that President Biden made crystal clear throughout the violence. The United States fully supports Israel's right to defend itself against attacks, such as the thousands of rockets fired by Hamas indiscriminately against Israeli civilians.
Blinken also mentioned the sharp rise in anti-Semitic attacks in the United States on the backdrop of the conflict and President Biden's strong position on the surge of attacks, for which the Prime Minister expressed his gratitude.
In our own country, in the United States, we've witnessed a shocking eruption of anti-Semitic attacks. As President Biden said just yesterday, they are despicable and they must stop.
And thank you and the President for your strong statements against anti-Semitism. Masquerading as anti-Zionism, but it's anti-Semitism. And you took a bold position, clear position, and we appreciate it. I think all decent people everywhere appreciate that stance. Thank you.
Blinken met later with Israel's Foreign Minister Gabi Ashkenazi and also with Defense Minister Benny Gantz, and then traveled to Ramallah this afternoon, where he met with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. Saying afterwards he told Abbas and Netanyahu that the United States would be reopening its consulate in Jerusalem for the Palestinians. Blinken stressed that the U.S. also opposes any unilateral actions which could undermine the prospects for peace between Israel and the Palestinians, saying whether that is settlement activity, home demolitions, annexation of territory, incitement to violence, or compensation of individuals who committed acts of terror. Blinken next heads to Jordan and Egypt. The Times of Israel reports that President Biden will name Tom Nides to be the next U.S. ambassador to Israel. Nides served as Deputy Secretary of State under President Obama. The report said that the appointment will be announced in the coming weeks by the White House. It will then need to get approval from the Senate. And here in the U.S., reports of anti-Semitic attacks have seen a major uptick, as we have been reporting to you about. CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt, said that since the conflict in the Middle East began, anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. reported to the ADL have increased by 63%. They include physical, violent assaults, as we saw last week in Los Angeles and in New York City, as well as vandalism and verbal attacks against Jews on social media. The ADL has deemed this Thursday a national day of action against anti-Semitism and will hold a virtual rally together with Hadassah, the Jewish Federations of North America, the Union of Orthodox Jewish Congregations of America, and the American Jewish Committee, whose CEO David Harris released a video, part of an AJC campaign asking where is the outrage over this recent surge.
It's unacceptable to allow anti-Semitism to unfold in America as it has. And it doesn't matter what the source is. As AJC has been saying now for a very long time, whether it comes from the radical right or the totalitarian left, anti-Semitism is anti-Semitism is anti-Semitism. And those of us who care about anti-Semitism and about all forms of hatred, and who believe that there is no place, none whatsoever, in our country for those manifestations of bigotry, it's time for us to speak up and to stand together.
New York, in particular, has seen a spate of incidents. The NYPD said it is investigating 2 incidents in Brooklyn Saturday night and looking into whether they are related. The first of 3 young men who harassed and threatened 4 Orthodox Jewish men in front of a synagogue in Borough Park, Brooklyn. And later that night, 2 Jewish teenagers assaulted nearby, who were then reportedly rescued by a Muslim Uber driver who got them to safety. Also Sunday night, a brick was thrown through the window of a popular Jewish eatery, Saba's Pizza, on the Upper East Side. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo yesterday ordered state police to increase protection at Jewish sites across New York State, including, he said, increasing patrols at synagogues and schools and other Jewish community facilities, reaffirming that hate has no place in our state. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, May the 25th at 7 o'clock. It's from the Aleph Bet, followed by a panel discussion on the major challenges of Israeli diaspora relations from the 2017 Jewish Federation of North America's General Assembly. And coming up tonight at 8, a special JBS presentation. Shachar Azani visits Israel and meets with Ohad and Sneer, members of Brothers for Life, an organization created and run by wounded IDF combat soldiers to help and support their fellow wounded IDF combat soldiers. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with Charles Small on L'chaim. At 10:30, we hear from the daughter of a high-ranking Hamas sheikh who was rescued by the Orthodox Jewish Outreach and Counter-Missionary Organization in Israel, Yad Le'achim. And coming up next, it's the ILTV's Insider. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, May the 25th, 2021. I'm Teisha Bader. Stay healthy, stay well.